Hello everyone, welcome back to the nursery today. So I'm finally back with a video. I haven't done a video. It feels like about a week since I've done a video. I have been busy in the past week. And finally I'm back with little Miss Layla here, Princess Layla. So in the past week, my kids have started back to school. So that's what we were busy getting them ready to go back to school. So finally they started back yesterday. And they have not been in school learning, in person learning since March of 2020. So it was quite like an ordeal getting them ready to go back as far as clothes and this and that, school supplies. But that wasn't the only thing this time. It was also like getting them ready to go back psychologically, emotionally. It was like my son was ready to go back, but my daughters, they were like, one of them didn't want to go back at all. She said she wanted to continue to stay at home and learn virtual learning. And then the other one wasn't sure, like she wanted to go, but then she was kind of hesitant and nervous. So it was just an adjustment for the two girls. And my son, like I said, he was ready to go back. But yeah, so finally they got back in there yesterday. Today's the second day. It looks like they kind of getting the hang of it again. So hopefully we'll see how this all goes. We don't know. I feel like personally right now, it could possibly end up where they all be back at home. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but that's what my personal feelings are. And I heard a few other parents when I was at the school, because we had went up for open school night for new kids and kids that are just returning or whatever. And a few parents had the same, like, they were thinking the same exact thing, that this, we'll see how long this lasts, but I'm hoping, it'll work out and things will get better, but I don't know. But anyway, so get into my video. That's just a little bit of where I've been in the past week. So today I have this little princess here, my baby girl. Let me turn her around. She's just up on mommy's chest, relaxing. Mommy's favorite spot to put the babies. So this is Layla, if you're new to my nursery. And she is Dwayne Awake, the Dwayne Awake sculpt. There she is without her little pacifier. And all of a sudden, I'm enjoying her with this regular pacifier, that the smaller one. This isn't the big one. This is the preemie one. What are they called again? Jolly Pop. Sometimes you just want just the regular old pacifier. Even though back here I have this big bin of my new silicone pacifiers that I'm obsessed with. I got this see-through bin yesterday when I was out at the store to put them in. So now I can kind of see the pacifiers through the bin, because like I said, I'm obsessed with those pacifiers. I'm like trying to collect every color of them. And I was looking for like a little wicker basket, since I'm into like the wicker and the natural things to put in my nursery. So I wanted a basket that same size, but I was looking for like a regular wicker basket. But then I seen that clear one and I was like, I think I would prefer the clear basket, because then I can see the pacifiers, through the basket, and it's probably easier to find what you're looking for in that see-through bin. I don't think she needs any more lubricant on this bottle nipple, because she already has some in her mouth from her pacifier. So anyway, what I was thinking about and what I wanted to talk about briefly in this video is to clear up a comment I get, a question I've been getting, especially on this new channel since I started this channel. And I've started this channel. I believe it's now going on like 5 months ago or so, something like that. And I noticed when I was on my old channel, I had been on that channel for a while. And I didn't really get like new people that stumbled upon my old channel and would ask this question. But I noticed when I started this new channel, all of a sudden I was getting like new people that didn't know about the hobby. They don't know about these dolls. So many new people, they seem to accidentally come across my channel, I guess. And they see me holding this baby or any of my dolls and feeding them and all of this stuff, changing their clothes, or like at the beginning you'll see my nursery and they was like they'll comment something like, what is this, or some of them will say, I'm crazy, you're crazy, that's not a real baby. Like, that's the most harsh comment I would get a lot of times, is that they'll say, oh, you're crazy, that's not a real baby. Then the next question is, well, why do you have that? And then like some people try to be nice and they'll say, I'm not trying to be funny or I'm not trying to be rude, but why do you have this doll? And what is this all about? So I figured for people who might stumble across these dolls, us with our dolls, or me with my dolls, they just to kind of explain the hobby a little bit. And I haven't done a video like this in like a few years. I don't think, where I've actually like just did a video explaining the hobby and what it's all about. Those of us who collect the dolls, we all know what it's about. But those who stumble across our channels, or our Instagram posts and stuff like that, or Facebook, and they be like, what the heck is, what's going on here? What is this about? And why does that look like it? Some of them will say, oh, that's a dead baby. It looks like a dead baby or whatever. That's another real harsh, comment right there that I get. And also on my Instagram, I will get a lot of people who will stumble across my posts and they get so upset over these dolls. Like, it offends them that we have them. And they will like put up the emojis, like the vomiting emoji, and they say, ew, what is that? Oh, it looks dead, and all kind of stuff. So yeah, so I figured I'm gonna just do a little video addressing this. And I believe one time this was kind of a tag a few years back where it was like, why do you collect these dolls? And we were asking, I think the tag was more for even those of us that are in the hobby, because all of us collect these dolls for different reasons, believe it or not. It's not like we all collect them for the same purposes. And I was planning on changing Layla in this video, but I don't know if I'm going to change her because I like her in this little onesie she's in. It's a Jamie K onesie, and I love how the fabric feels, and it's nice and cool, and it's so hot. It's like just the perfect thing she has on. So I don't know if I'm gonna change her or not. And then it interrupts my train of thought when I'm trying to talk about something and change the baby. It throws me off. So I'll see if I'm gonna change her. But anyway, so I wanted to kind of go over the different reasons we collect the dolls. And even like I said, within the hobby, we all collect them for different reasons. And believe it or not, depending on how you interact with your doll, you can be judged by how you interact with your doll. Like right now, I'm doing role play, feeding, a simulated feeding, a fake feeding. She's not really drinking this bottle, but I'm holding her. I have the burp cloth under her little chin and everything, as though I'm feeding a real baby. And if you look at her, you stumble across my video, she'll look like a real baby until you sit there and look for a while. And then you may notice, okay, that baby didn't blink at all. She's not moving or whatever. But that's what happens when new people stumble across our videos and we sitting here feeding them and stuff like that, changing clothes. We got full nurseries and all of that. So you can understand people who don't know what the hobby is about having questions, but what I notice is that not only the people who don't know about the hobby or these dolls judge us, but even within the hobby, other doll collectors will judge you if you role play with your dolls. And it's really like, you can actually sometimes get a more harsh judgment within the hobby from other doll collectors. That's the funniest, strangest thing about this hobby. And I feel like you shouldn't be judged. You're not doing anything wrong. If you want to sit here and hold your doll and pretend, do a role play feeding, it shouldn't be anything wrong with it. As long as I know this is a doll and she's not a real baby, I'm all good. I know exactly what she is. Now, say if you get really confused and you really start thinking it's a real baby, then maybe there's a little problem going on. But for the most part, all of us know that these are dolls. But we enjoy them. Some of us enjoy them more as though it's a real baby. It helps us kind of fulfill that kind of motherly, need that some of us have as women. We want to mother and nurture, and we want to hold them a lot, and we want to do role play feedings. We want the full nursery with the crib and all of the everything you would have like in my nursery for a real baby. Diapers, clothes, bottles, pacifiers, like you name it, I have it. You would think if you came in here, and you guys have seen my nursery on my videos, you would think it's a room for a real baby, but it's all for my dolls. So for me, and for some of us, we want these dolls as though to kind of fulfill that nurturing need we have, that need to mother, that love of a real newborn baby or real babies, although we know they're not real babies. We love buying the baby clothes and dressing them up cute in the little baby clothes. That's definitely a fun part of the hobby, is dressing up the dolls. But some of us might only collect them to dress them up cute, and that's it, and we display them. That's another way of collecting these dolls. Some of us only collect them to display them. Some of us don't even dress them up very often. I know some collectors only collect them for the art, the realism of the doll, how it looks real. It is a work of art, kind of a 3D form of art. But some people are collecting them, and they have shelves or cases that they put them in to display them only, or they may have strollers to display them in, or a crib or a bassinet, but it's strictly about displaying the doll and admiring it, not so much interacting with it or holding it or cuddling it or giving it a bottle. Some of us, just the collectors, don't really collect to do what I'm doing right now. It's strictly, for them, this is a piece of art. It's to display and admire. Some people really feel like you shouldn't be interacting with them or holding them very much, because they feel like you're gonna damage the art. You're taking away from the doll if you interact with it, so to speak. You're actually devaluing the doll. Some people feel like the more you interact with the doll, it's not worth as much money because you interacted with it, because you put a bottle in its mouth or a pacifier. So some collectors are really against that stuff. Even, within the hobby, they don't feel like you should be holding them too much because you're going to damage them. You're going to take away from their value, so to speak. Me, myself, now I will go into why I collect them. So if you're looking at my videos and you see me role playing with my doll, or somebody stumbles across my video and they don't know me, they never seen my channel, they never seen one of these dolls before, and they're wondering, what the heck am I doing? Why am I feeding this, this thing? That's what they call them. They don't look at it as though it's a baby. And I think they really try to get like where they want to offend you, so they'll call it a thing. They won't even call it a doll. But for me, My reason for collecting these dolls, and I have said this many times before, especially when I first started my YouTube channel years ago, I mainly collect my dolls. I'm going to try to put this down. I hope I don't knock it down. Just so you can see her more. I mainly collect my dolls because I love dolls. That's number one. I've always loved dolls since I was a little girl. My mother used to buy me at least 5 or 6 new dolls every Christmas, and then holidays or birthdays in between Christmases, I would get another doll add on to the dolls I already had. I had baby dolls. I used to love Baby Alives. That was my most favorite doll. I think I had at least 4 different kind of Baby Alives at one time. So Baby Alives, because I could feed them. That's what I loved about the Baby Alive. I could feed them the bottle and they could really drink and wet, and I could feed them the baby food. I just loved me a Baby Alive. And they wore, I could get, my mother used to buy me the real diapers for them and all of that. So right from early on, I loved babies and I loved dolls. And dolls is, of course, like a baby. So that's why I loved dolls when I was little. And I think I had dolls at least up until I was like 14. Like, I was one of those girls that had my dolls for, a long time. Like, when most girls would kind of grow out of their dolls, I was still into my dolls. I didn't really get out of like having a doll or two in my room until I started having real kids, my real babies. Then I kind of put the dolls away into the closet. But even before I had my real babies and I was grown, I still always kind of had like a doll or two in my room or my bed. When I would make up my bed or whatever, I had a doll or two in my bedroom. So I've just always loved dolls, always loved real babies. I couldn't wait until I eventually, would get married when I was grown and have my own kids. Like, I was looking forward to that. So I have 5 real children, because that's another thing. When people see you with these dolls, they'll say, why don't you just have a real baby? Or why don't you adopt some kids? And, I have 5 real children. So it's not like I don't have real children, but all of my real children are no longer babies at this point. I have 2 that's completely grown, 2 grown daughters. And then I have like a gap in between 11 years. I had my 2 older daughters. They were 11 months apart. And then 11 years, I didn't have any more kids. By the time the youngest was 11, I started all over again and I had 3 more babies. So the last 3 are now, 2 of them in high school. They are 15 and 16. And my son is the oldest. He's 16. Then Nicole, she is 15. And she's in the 10th grade. My son is in the 11th grade. And then I have Brianna, my youngest daughter, is 13, and she's in the 8th grade. So all of my babies are now big, basically. And I started collecting these dolls when I found them. One of my older daughters actually found these dolls on YouTube, and she showed them to me. And once I seen these dolls, I wanted one because they look so much like real babies, and I was just fascinated by them. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta have one of those dolls. And that was it. From there, I wanted one, and of course, you don't stop at one. Once you start collecting these dolls, reborn, silicone, you don't stop at one. Most of us want more than one. We go from 1 to 2 to 3 and on and on. So that's how I got into the dolls, because one of my older kids seen them, and I just had to have one. So ever since then, I started collecting these dolls. Why? Because they look like real babies, like ultra realistic right here. Like super duper realistic newborn baby right here. Right up my alley. Especially because my own kids were getting older at that point, and I wasn't having any more babies. So I was like all for it to start collecting these dolls. And With myself, I have, like I said, 5 kids, and I only have 1 son and 4 daughters. So I wanted to have another baby. I wanted 6. I wanted one more baby to have a boy. I really wanted another little boy because my son is the only boy, like I said, and I wanted him to have a brother. Well, it wasn't in the cards. For health reasons, I couldn't have that one more baby. The doctor was like, "No, I don't think you should try that." And my husband agreed at the time. He was like, "No, we're going to just stop here. Count our blessings and stop." So I didn't get to have that one more baby. So when I found these dolls, it kind of fulfilled that void for me of not being able to have that one more baby, couldn't have any more children. And if you guys notice, a lot of times I'll tend to have more boys in my doll collection than baby girls. And I guess that's because I wanted that one more boy and I didn't get it. So a lot of times I will tend to have more baby boys. I think right now, I think I have more girls for a change. I have 5 silicone babies right now, I think, because I lose count. My collection is forever changing. And then I only have 2 vinyl reborns. So out of the 7, I have 3 boys. Yeah, right now I have 4 girls. So actually, for a change, I have more girls in my collection. That's unusual for me because normally I love to collect baby boys. If I paint dolls for myself, I will tend to always seem to make the baby out, to be a boy a lot of times. But yeah, that is why I collect these dolls. I collect them because they remind me of real babies. They are as close as you could get to having a real baby with these dolls. And it fulfilled that void, that baby fever I was having. So my dolls are not like where I'm just collecting them to look at them, um, or to admire them. Yes, I love the art. I love the realism in them. Now that I paint them, I really admire the art even more. All of the work that you put into them to bring them to life and make them look so real. But for me, number one, the reason I collect them is because I love babies, and I love the fact that I can hold this baby and cuddle her and role play with her and pretend feed her and give her kisses and all of that, as though she's my real little baby, even though I know she's not a real baby, right, Layla? But I will even talk to her because she looks so real and her eyes are open. And I notice when I have a baby with the open eyes, I tend to actually will like talk to them and everything. So, and although I know, like I said, she's a doll, I'm definitely aware, but I don't know. It's something about them when their eyes are open. You want to talk, baby talk to them and everything. And I definitely hold my dolls a lot on and off camera. Also, some people don't interact with their dolls as much off camera. I actually interact with my dolls even more off camera than I do on camera. Even when you don't see me do a video for a week or a couple of days, even within that time off camera, I'm still holding my dolls. This baby has a drinking wet system. I will feed her water bottle on camera and do a drinking wet feeding, and I will feed her off camera sometimes and do a drinking wet feeding. I would say I more so feed her on camera, doing the drinking wet feedings, but I will, if I want to feed her water off camera, I will give her a bottle of water off camera as well. That's one thing with me. I get like the full enjoyment out of my dolls. And I don't have, let's see, I have 2 of them with a drinking wet system. So I don't have all of them with drinking wet systems. Layla has one, and then my Willow asleep boy has a drinking wet. So I have 1 boy and 1 girl right now with drinking wet. And I love the ones that do have a drinking wet. So if I do want to do a drinking wet feeding, I can. But they don't all have to have drinking wet systems. I like even doing, like I said, the fake feeding, simulated feeding with the bottle of milk. Like I was just feeding her. If I feed them, I have to, I have to burp them. Just like you would a real baby. I will not feed these dolls and not burp them. Very rarely, if you see me feed them, I don't burp them. Like, I pretty much will interact with this baby as though she's a baby, which you guys, most of you know that. And I've been like that since I started collecting them from day one. That's how I treated them. I love that they look like a real baby. I can hold them like they're a real baby and dress them up like a real baby. I love all of that about it. So it's not just collecting them to sit them somewhere and display them. For me, it's more about me being able to look at this baby. She looks so realistic and I can actually hold her. She feels like a real baby. And I can interact with her and she just like takes away that baby fever, especially this baby. I don't know what it is about her, but she definitely just takes away the baby fever when I hold her. If I get that little baby fever feeling or that itch for a real baby, I'll just go pick up Laila and instantly it's gone. She cured the baby fever. So that is what it's all about for me with collecting the dolls. I like having like my nursery all fixed up for a real baby, diapers and everything in here. I like to have real formula. Sometimes I'll make a bottle with real formula in it because I love the way real formula smells. I like to make the bottle warm, and then I'll do a fake feeding with the real formula as well. And I think the reason I like the real baby formula because it reminds me of when my real babies used to drink it. So it kind of brings, but I guess, back a memory of when they were on formula. So yeah, but not all the time I do the real formula because then you got to really wash the bottle out, or the real formula, it smells. So that's why I don't use it all the time. But every now and then I'll make like a real bottle of formula. Just all of those things this hobby kind of brings back for me of when my real babies were babies. And with real babies, of course, we all know this is such an adorable stage when they're newborn, but it's the shortest stage. They do not stay like this long. And that's what I love about these dolls. They are forever a newborn. She's never going to grow out of her clothes. She's never going to grow up. Anytime I want to hold a newborn, here she is, along with my other dolls. My Gabby Gales are my biggest dolls, my largest size dolls. I don't know, can you guys see them if I turn? They are in the Mamaroos. I have not changed them in a while. They need to get their outfits changed. But they would be my biggest babies along with my Willow twins. And from that point, that's the biggest I like my dolls because, like I said, I really love like the smaller babies, the newborn stage. So I usually don't go past the like a 6-month size baby or 3 to 6 month size. But my favorite is definitely this newborn size because this is the age that, like I said, the real babies, your real babies, they just don't stay like this long. So I guess that's why I really love having, this newborn little size baby. And I love to put them on my bed in my room. So if I walk in there, it looks like a real baby's laying on the bed. I love that. So that is why I collect my dolls. They're definitely not just for kind of sitting them and displaying them. I definitely interact with my dolls. I really, really enjoy them. And like I said, they just kind of fill that void of the baby fever. They kind of just take it away. And that is why I collect them. So if anybody runs across this video, they will know why I collect these dolls. Why do I have them? But like I said, all of us collectors collect these dolls for different reasons. And that's my reason. But, and also there's that question that we did a tag on years ago about, are you a collector or a mommy? And I consider myself more of a mommy to my dolls because, like I said, I like to interact with them more so than a collector. But at times I can be a collector too, especially when I'm trying to sell them. Or when I'm buying them, I'm looking for certain things in the doll, because then I'm investing my money into that doll. So then that's more of my collector side when I'm buying and selling. But as for having them, I'm more, I would say, a mommy of my dolls. I'm more of a reborn and silicone mommy for sure. So anyway, that is my little Layla. I think I'm going to just leave her in this little onesie for now, and we will come back and I'll probably change her in the next video. So anyway, guys, if anybody else wants to answer that question as well, if you do decide to answer it and do a video, just let me know and I'll come watch your video on why you collect your dolls. Or you can answer under my video, because I definitely read my comments. And also, please make sure you subscribe if you are interested in these dolls and like them. You might not be collecting them yet, but you're interested. Definitely please subscribe so you can see the rest of my babies, and you'll know when I do new videos. Definitely click the bell so you'll know when I put up a new video. And also follow us on Instagram. My Instagram link is always under my videos in the description bar. You just click the link and it goes to my Instagram. And so that is all for now, guys. That is our video for today, and we will see you again soon. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching, and stay safe. Bye-bye.